mind to stem the spread of the virus. And I say it to you again tonight. Use barrier behavior. It is the only way to properly protect those weak people, those vulnerable people. It is the only way of stemming the number of people who are infected by the virus and of helping out the emergency care staff. Without any serious signs of disease, call your local doctor, your physician, call the ambulance services, seek their advice. Because if you overburden them with non-serious cases, then they won't be able to deal with the actual serious cases. We have to think as a whole, and we have to take responsibility as a whole. Because each and every one of us must, at all costs, try and limit the number of people with whom we come into contact every day. Scientists say it time and time again, that is our ultimate priority. And that is why, after having consulted and listened to experts from the field, and with much thought, I have decided to ramp up the measures to limit travel and limit the contact that people have to the absolute necessary, as of tomorrow, midday, and for at least 15 days thereafter. Our movement will have to be absolutely limited. What I mean by this is that any gatherings outdoors, any family or friendly gatherings, are no longer allowed. Going for a walk in the park to catch up with friends or in the street is no longer allowed. You have to limit your contact, any contact you have outside of the home. And this is applicable everywhere across France, both in French metropolitan France as well as in its overseas territories. Only take transport if you absolutely have to, if you have to buy groceries. And on that point, only do the absolute minimum, the essential groceries. Don't shake hands. Obviously, if you have to seek medical help, do so. If you have to go to work when you cannot work from home, then yes, that is acceptable. Again, if you absolutely must go outdoors to do some form of physical activity, then that is permissible, but not to go and meet with other people. If you can work from home, then do so. If companies haven't yet put in place systems to be able to do so, then they should, as early as tomorrow, do so. This is a way of protecting their employees. But if also for independent workers, non-salary workers, if they can work from home, then they need to do so to protect themselves. The government, as of this evening, will give key guidelines on how to do so. And anyone who does not abide by those guidelines will be punished. I say it with great emphasis. Listen to the medical advice. Do not travel unless it's absolutely necessary. Do not leave homes and meet with other people unless it is absolutely necessary. This evening, we are laying down rules, and there will be checks on those rules. But the only way we can truly get through this is if you uphold those rules yourselves and are conscious of that. Once again, I call on your sense of responsibility and solidarity. After having consulted with the Speaker of the Senate and the National Assembly, and also with former presidents, I have decided that the second round of local elections will be postponed. The Prime Minister today informed the head of the political parties and head of the political groups at Parliament, and this decision was agreed to by all. Dear citizens, I take full measure of the impact that these decisions will have on your lives. You will no longer be able to see your loved ones, and that comes at great hardship. Not being able to continue your daily routine comes at great hardship, and I understand that. But we shouldn't break bonds with our families. We should continue to call our families and friends. We need to come up with new ways of finding solidarity between generations. We need to innovate in that way. So I asked you all to stay at home and stay calm given the context. Over the past few hours, I have seen panic taking rife across the nation. We shouldn't give in to fake news, because fake news is so spread easily via social networks. But in staying at home, by looking after people who live in your home. That is a way of dealing with the situation. You can keep good sight of what is essential in this matter. Culture, education, the meaning of things is so important. We need to avoid falling into panic of believing false rumors, of non-experts and false prophets. We need to be careful of what information we do believe in. But believe me, while the situation we are going through is an unheard of situation, it requires strict measures, and I understand that. But we are at war. This is a health war. We're not dealing against another army or another nation, but an invisible enemy, and it is an enemy that is there, and which is why I call for widespread mobilization against that enemy, because we are at war, and anything that the government decides in the coming days and months will be in that sole objective of combating that enemy. And that is why I have decided that all reforms currently underway will be postponed. In particular, the reform to the retirement regime. This Wednesday in the Ministerial Council, we will put forward a draft bill to deal with the emergency situation we're going through. It will be a way to enable us to bring in legislation to properly deal with this crisis. It will then be sent to the Parliament as soon as Thursday. I met with the speakers of the Senate of the National Assembly so that we could agree on a text so that legal text will be voted through as quickly as possible. We need to ensure that democracy stays alive, and we need to ensure that the checks and balances that we have in this nation will remain alive. And I thank both speakers for their assistance. I call on all politicians, political people, economic people, anyone in our country to believe in the union of our nation that keeps us together and has enabled us to overcome so many hardships in the past. We are at war, and the nation will be there to support its children, be they medical assistants, medical staff, be they working in cities or in the rural areas. Those people who are fighting tirelessly to fight this disease, we stand by their sides. We owe them so much. We owe them the means to be able to protect them, and we will do that. We will purchase as much in terms of material, masks, alcohol gel, for them to be able to do their work in as much safety as possible. Medical masks will be kept in priority for hospital staff, nurses, doctors working on the front line of this crisis. Medical masks will be delivered to pharmacies as early as tomorrow evening in the areas of France which are the most affected by the virus, before being sent out elsewhere throughout the nation. I also hear the requests coming from many other medical specialists, and we will be able to respond to their requests in the coming days. A minimal service of child assistance for medical staff who have children and who need them to be looked after will also be guaranteed by the government. We need to ensure that they can work in full peace of mind, and which is why, as of tomorrow, taxis and hotels will be mobilized for their service, and the state, the government, will cover that cost, because we are at a time of war. The country, at the current time, will support those areas of France that are most affected, and any areas of France in the coming weeks that will also be affected. My thoughts go out to the medical staff in the far east of France who are dealing with overburdened hospitals. I know what you have been going through over the past few days. and I stand beside you. This is why a field hospital from the Defense Forces will be deployed as of tomorrow in Alsace. The military staff, the medical staff from the military, will be there to help to take off some of the burden that is on those regional and local hospitals. We are at a time of war. And as I said on Thursday, we need to be able to protect ourselves and stem the spread of this virus, but we also need to be able to preserve our current medical system. And in light of that, this morning, as Europeans, we made a shared decision. As of tomorrow, midday, the European Union borders and the Schengen borders will be closed. What this means specifically is any travel between non-European countries and the European Union will be suspended for the next 30 days. French men and women who are currently abroad and who wish to return to France will be able to return to France. This is a decision that we had to come to, because I'm asking you for so much right now, and we have to protect ourselves as much as possible, which is why I call on all French citizens who live abroad. I call on you to contact your local embassies and consulates if you wish to return home. I'm sure that you understand that this health crisis is without precedent, and it will have serious consequences on people of this nation, on the economy of this nation. But this is a challenge that we have to stand up to. We have to do as much as we can to stem the spread of this epidemic. But we should not let that get in the way of being there to support the most vulnerable in our societies, to support small businesses. For the most vulnerable, for those people who are in the most remote areas, we will do our best by working with major organizations, NGOs, to ensure that the most vulnerable will be fed, will have housing, in terms of the economy, no company, whatever size that company may be, will be faced with bankruptcy. We will do our best, our utmost to avoid it. We will put in place as much resources as possible to do so. For companies, we have set up an exceptional mechanism whereby any compulsory contributions will be delayed. Any loans that will have to be paid off, we will put up 300 billion euros to be able to cover that. Anyone who is facing difficulties in terms of taxes or in terms of social contributions will not have to face them. Any bills, any any electricity or gas bills will also be suspended until later notice. For employees, partial unemployment benefits will be extended massively. And this is what I mentioned Thursday, and the government has been currently providing further details on that. For self-employed people, there will be a solidarity fund that will be created by the state. And the Prime Minister is also going to call on the regions to provide support. As of tomorrow, the government will continue to lay into effect those decisions, because we need to be able to help every sector, and each sector has its own particularities, and we need to take them into account. We need to ensure that our economy will be able to survive this current crisis, because all men and women who are working, who are active members of the economy, we need to ensure that they can continue to have purchasing power ensured. Fellow citizens, France is going through a challenging time. No one can truly foresee how long this is going to last. And problems will lead into further problems, difficulties into further difficulties, and we will need to overcome them. And we need to do so using insight coming from the scientific community, and we will need to adapt the way we behave and act.
de travailler, de progresser sur les traitements. Et je sais le dévouement de plusieurs équipes.
Have been working tirelessly in France on coming up with ways of treating this disease, and we have seen early signs of hope.
Régulièrement, je m'adresserai à vous. Je vous dirai
On a regular basis, I will speak to you as a nation,
la vérité sur l'évolution de la
I will
situation.
give you honest, truthful information about how the crisis is evolving.
Plus nous agirons
Because I
ensemble,
am certain of one thing: the more we work together
plus nous
and fast,
cette épreuve.
the more we'll be able to
Plus
overcome
nous
this
agirons
challenge.
en citoyens,
The more we act as
plus nous
citizens,
ferons preuve de la même force
the more
d'âme,
we
de la même abnégation
act with the
patriote
same soul, with the
que
same
démontrent aujourd'hui nos
notion
personnels
of
soignants, nos
patriotism, where we
sapeurs-pompiers,
support
l'ensemble des
the
acteurs de la
ambulance staff,
sécurité
the medical
civile.
staff of our nation.
Plus vite,
The more we act with civism,
nous sortirons.
the faster we'll be able to
cette
overcome this crisis.
Nous y arriverons, mes chers compatriotes.
We will
en
make it
étant
through.
unis.
We will make it through by standing united.
Je vous demande d'être responsables tous ensemble,
So I want all of us to take responsibility for our actions and
d'accepter
to not
ces
give in to
contraintes, de les
panic.
porter, de les expliquer, de vous les appliquer à vous-même. Nous les appliquerons tous. Il n'y aura
Because
pas de
while I'm
passe-droit.
calling on everyone to live in given
Mais là aussi,
difficulties,
de ne
we will
céder
all have to do it.
ni à la panique, ni au désordre.
Do not give in to panic nor into disorder,
Nous gagnerons.
because we will overcome.
Mais cette période nous aura beaucoup appris.
This time
Beaucoup
will
de
be a
certitudes,
time where we'll get to learn a
De
lot.
convictions
We'll come to
balayées seront remises en cause.
convictions,
Beaucoup de choses que nous
beliefs
pensions
that we'll have to
impossibles
maybe
adviennent.
rethink.
Ne nous laissons pas impressionner,
But while the impossible
Agissons
may become
avec
possible,
force.
we need
mais retenons cela.
to act.
Le jour d'après, quand nous aurons
But
gagné,
given the day
ce ne sera
after
pas un
our
retour au jour
victory
d'avant.
will not be a day where we will
plus
return
forts
to a time
Nous aurons appris.
before, to a bygone
Je saurai
era.
aussi
It will be a
avec vous en
time,
tirer
a new
toutes les
time,
conséquences.
a new era where we will have learnt.
Toutes les conséquences.
We will learn from the current
Ils sont
situation.
nous, individuellement et
Let us
collectivement, à la
Raise
hauteur du
ourselves
moment.
up, lift ourselves
Je sais, mes
up
chers compatriotes,
to the urgent need
pouvoir
of the
compter
current
sur vous.
time. And I know, fellow citizens, that I
Vive
can
la
count on
République.
you. Long live the French Republic.
Vive la France.
Long